The black pulled up slowly to the red carpet entrance of the London Palladium. Inside, Prince William adjusted his bow tie one last time while smoothed down her elegant navy blue gown. The couple had attended many royal events together, but the royal variety performance always held a special place in their hearts. It was an evening where they could enjoy entertainment while supporting charity, something both of them truly valued. Looked out the tinted window at the crowd of photographers and fans gathered behind the barriers. The flashbulbs were already going off constantly, even though they hadn't stepped out yet. She smiled at William, who reached over and gently squeezed her hand. After more than a decade of marriage, they had developed their own way of supporting each other through these public moments. "Ready?" William asked, his voice calm but with a hint of excitement. He always enjoyed seeing in her element at these glamorous events. She had a natural grace that made every appearance look effortless, though he knew how much thought and preparation went into each public outing. Nodded, taking a deep breath. Her diamond earrings caught the light streaming through the car window as she turned toward the door. She had chosen them specifically because they had belonged to William's grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth. Wearing them always made her feel connected to the royal family's long history and traditions. The car door opened, and immediately the sound of the crowd grew louder. William stepped out first, straightening his dinner jacket as he turned back to offer his hand too. The moment she emerged from the car, the photographers went wild. Camera flashes lit up the evening sky like lightning, and the crowd of royal fans began cheering and calling out their names. His gown flowed beautifully as she stood up, the deep navy fabric complementing her sapphire engagement ring perfectly. She had worked with her styling team for weeks to choose the right outfit for this event. The royal variety performance was always attended by entertainment industry professionals, so she wanted to strike the right balance between royal elegance and modern sophistication. William placed his hand gently on the small of his back as they began their walk down the red carpet. This small gesture had become second nature to them over the years. It was both protective and supportive, showing their unity as a couple while also helping guide them through the crowds and chaos of these events. The first stop was with the event organizers who had been waiting to greet them. Lord Chamberlain stepped forward with a warm smile, bowing slightly as he welcomed the royal couple. He explained that this year's show featured performers from around the world, including several acts that had never performed for the royal family before. Listened intently, asking questions about the different performers and showing genuine interest in learning about their backgrounds. This wasn't just politeness. She had always been fascinated by the arts and enjoyed hearing about the creative process behind different performances. William nodded along, occasionally adding his own questions about the technical aspects of some of the acts. As they moved along the carpet, stopping to greet various dignitaries and performers, the couple's natural chemistry became obvious to everyone watching. They moved in sync with each other, never seeming rushed despite the packed schedule. When one of them was speaking with someone, the other would stand nearby, engaged but not intrusive. A young girl from a local school choir was brought over to present with a small bouquet of flowers. The princess knelt down to the child's level, accepting the flowers with genuine delight. She asked the girl about her singing and whether she was nervous about performing later in the evening. This kind of personal interaction was something excelled at, making everyone feel special and important. William watched this exchange with obvious pride in his wife. He had seen her handle countless similar situations over the years, but he never got tired of seeing how naturally she connected with people, especially children. It reminded him why he had fallen in love with her in the first place, her genuine warmth and ability to make others feel comfortable. The red carpet was lined with British entertainment industry figures, many of whom the couple had met before at previous events. They spent time chatting with comedians, musicians, and actors who would be performing that evening. Showed particular interest in talking with a group of young dancers who were making their royal variety debut. The dancers were clearly nervous about meeting the royal couple, but's easy conversation style quickly put them at ease. She asked about their training, their favorite types of dance, and how they felt about performing on such a prestigious stage. By the end of their conversation, the young performers were laughing and smiling, their earlier nerves completely forgotten. William engaged in a lengthy discussion with a veteran comedian who had performed at the Royal Variety Performance multiple times over the decades. They talked about how the show had evolved over the years and the comedian's experiences performing for different members of the royal family. William's genuine laughter at the comedian's stories showed his appreciation for good humor and entertainment. The couple's security team worked discreetly around them, ensuring their safety while staying as invisible as possible. Years of experience had taught everyone involved how to balance security needs with the desire for natural, relaxed public interactions. The result was an atmosphere that felt both safe and genuinely spontaneous. As they continued down the red carpet, stopped to admire the beautiful floral arrangements that decorated the entrance to the theater. The flowers had been specially chosen to reflect the autumn season, with rich oranges, deep reds, and golden yellows creating a warm, welcoming atmosphere. She complimented the event coordinators on their attention to detail. The couple paused for official photographs at several designated spots along the carpet. They had learned over the years exactly how to position themselves for the best pictures, close enough to show their connection as a couple, but positioned so both of their faces were clearly visible to the cameras. Media training had taught her which angles worked best for photographs, though by now it had become instinctive. Near the end of the red carpet, they encountered a small group of military veterans who had been invited as special guests to the performance. William, with his own military background, immediately felt a connection with these individuals. He spent extra time talking with them about their service and their experiences, showing genuine respect and interest in their stories. Joined these conversations, asking thoughtful questions about the veterans' families and their lives after military service. She had become increasingly involved in supporting military families through her royal duties, and these personal interactions helped inform her understanding of the issues they faced. The final stop before entering the theater was a brief interview with the press. Both William and spoke about their excitement for the evening's entertainment and their appreciation for the performers who had come from around the world to participate. They emphasized the important charitable aspect of the event and encouraged public support for the various causes that would benefit from the evening's proceeds. Once inside the London Palladium, William and were escorted to their seats in the royal box. The theater buzzed with excitement as audience members caught glimpses of the royal couple making their way through the ornate corridors. The Palladium's rich history seemed to wrap around them as they walked past photographs of legendary performers who had graced this same stage over the decades. Paused to admire some of the historical displays in the lobby, particularly fascinated by photographs from royal variety performances of the past. She pointed out to William a picture of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, attending the show in the 1950s. The black and white photograph showed a young queen looking radiant in an evening gown, surrounded by performers of that era. Their seats offered a perfect view of the stage, positioned so they could see both the performers and much of the audience. William helped with her seat, a small gentlemanly gesture that didn't go unnoticed by those nearby. She arranged her gown carefully, ensuring it wouldn't wrinkle during the long evening ahead. As they settled in, various dignitaries and special guests approached their box to pay their respects. Had a brief conversation with the wife of a prominent businessman who had helped sponsor the evening's event. They discussed the importance of supporting the arts, particularly programs that helped young people develop their talents. The theater's lighting began to dim, signaling that the show was about to begin. William exchanged a look of anticipation. Both of them genuinely enjoyed live entertainment, and they had been looking forward to this evening for weeks. Opened her small purse and checked that she had her phone on silent mode. Royal protocol required complete attention during performances. The first act took the stage to thunderous applause. It was a contemporary dance troupe from Scotland, their colorful costumes flowing beautifully under the stage lights. Leaned forward slightly in her seat, completely absorbed by the graceful movements and innovative choreography. She had always appreciated dance, having taken ballet lessons as a child. William watched both the performance and his wife's reaction to it. He loved seeing enjoy herself at these cultural events. Her genuine appreciation for artistic talent was one of the things that made her such an effective patron of various arts organizations. She wasn't just fulfilling royal duties. She truly cared about supporting creative expression. During the brief intermission between acts, a theater official approached their box to introduce them to some of the evening's performers who were waiting backstage. Was particularly excited to meet a young violinist who had won several international competitions, despite being only 16 years old. The teenager was clearly nervous about meeting royalty, but warm smile and genuine interest in her musical journey quickly put her at ease. William asked the young musician about her training and her future goals. She explained that she hoped to attend university to study both music and medicine, wanting to use her musical talents to help heal people. Both William and were impressed by her ambition and maturity. They encouraged her to pursue both passions, emphasizing that combining different interests often led to the most fulfilling careers. The second act featured a comedy duo from Northern England, whose witty banter and physical comedy had the entire audience laughing. Found herself giggling at their jokes, occasionally covering her mouth with her hand in a gesture that had become characteristic of her public appearances. William chuckled along, appreciating humor that was clever without being inappropriate. Between performances, the couple took turns waving to different sections of the audience who were clearly excited to see them. Had perfected what the media often called her royal wave, a gentle, elegant gesture that acknowledged people without being too casual or too formal. Children in the audience waved back enthusiastically, and she made sure to wave specifically to them. A special moment came when a children's choir from Wales took the stage. The young singers, dressed in matching red outfits, performed traditional Welsh songs with remarkable skill and enthusiasm. Who had become the Princess of Wales after the Queen's death felt a particular connection to these performers. She listened intently to every word, clearly moved by the beautiful harmonies. During this performance, William reached over and gently took's hand. It was a spontaneous gesture, prompted by his recognition of how meaningful this moment was for her. The Welsh connection was still relatively new to her royal identity, and seeing these young people proudly representing their culture was deeply touching. The choir's performance ended with a stunning solo by a 12-year-old boy whose voice filled the entire theater. The audience gave them a standing ovation, and both William and stood immediately, applauding enthusiastically. Wiped away a small tear, moved by the pure joy and talent she had just witnessed. An international magic act followed, featuring illusions that amazed even the sophisticated London audience. Gasped audibly at several of the tricks, her genuine surprise and delight evident to those around her. William found himself trying to figure out how the illusions were accomplished, his analytical mind working even during entertainment. The magician's grand finale involved making a car appear on stage seemingly from nowhere. The entire audience erupted in amazement and clapped her hands together in obvious delight. She turned to William with wide eyes, both of them marveling at the skill and creativity required to pull off such an elaborate illusion. During another brief intermission, they were introduced to a group of performers who had traveled from India specifically for this show. The traditional dancers explained the cultural significance of their costumes and movements to the royal couple, asked thoughtful questions about the stories their dances told, and the training required to master such complex choreography. William was particularly interested in learning about how these traditional art forms were being preserved and passed down to younger generations. The lead dancer explained that they ran schools in several Indian cities, teaching both traditional dance and modern interpretations to keep the art form alive and relevant. The conversation with the Indian performers highlighted something that both William and valued deeply: the importance of cultural preservation and international artistic exchange. They talked about how events like the Royal Variety Performance helped introduce British audiences to art forms from around the world, fostering understanding and appreciation between different cultures. As the show continued, a popular British singer took the stage with a medley of classic songs that had the entire audience singing along. Knew most of the words and found herself humming quietly along with the music. William smiled as he watched her enjoyment, remembering how much she had always loved music. The singer dedicated one song specifically to the royal couple, mentioning their charitable work and their support for the arts. Looked slightly embarrassed by the attention, but smiled graciously and nodded her thanks to the performer. This kind of public recognition was something she had never quite gotten used to, despite years of royal life. Near the end of the first half, a comedian took the stage and gently teased various celebrities in the audience, including making a few respectful jokes about royal life. William and both laughed good-naturedly at the humor, showing they could appreciate comedy even when it was directed at them. Their ability to laugh at themselves endeared them even more to the audience. During the final intermission of the first half, they had the opportunity to meet with some of the show's producers and organizers. These behind-the-scenes conversations gave them insight into the enormous amount of work that went into creating such a spectacular evening. Was particularly interested in hearing about how they selected performers and balanced different types of acts to create an engaging show. During the extended intermission, William and were invited backstage to meet with more of the evening's performers. This behind-the-scenes access was always one of their favorite parts of attending the Royal Variety performance. It gave them a chance to have more personal conversations with the artists and learn about their individual journeys to this prestigious stage. Their first stop was the dressing room area where the Scottish dance troupe was preparing for their second performance of the evening. The dancers were still in their colorful costumes, touching up makeup and adjusting their elaborate headdresses. Was fascinated by the intricate details of their traditional Scottish dress, asking questions about the significance of the different patterns and colors. The lead dancer, a woman in her 30s who had been performing professionally for over 15 years, explained how each element of their costume told a story about Scottish heritage and culture. She showed the hand-sewn beadwork on her bodice, which had been created by her grandmother specifically for this performance. Was visibly moved by this connection between generations and the preservation of family traditions. William engaged in conversation with some of the male dancers about the athletic demands of their art form. As someone who had always been interested in sports and physical fitness, he was curious about their training routines and how they maintained the strength and endurance required for such energetic performances. The dancers explained that they trained like athletes, combining dance practice with strength training and cardiovascular exercise. Their next visit was to meet the young violinist they had spoken with earlier. She was in a small practice room, running through scales to keep her fingers warm for her upcoming performance. Asked if she could listen to a brief piece, and the teenager played a beautiful excerpt from a concerto. Both William and were struck by the maturity and emotion in her playing, despite her young age. The violinist's mother was there as well, and she shared with how the family had made sacrifices to support their daughter's musical education. They had moved cities to be closer to a better music teacher and had worked extra jobs to pay for lessons and a quality instrument. Listened intently, understanding the dedication that families put into nurturing artistic talent. William asked the young musician about her favorite composers and was impressed by her knowledge of both classical and contemporary music. She explained that while she loved the traditional repertoire, she was also interested in experimenting with fusion pieces that combined classical violin with modern genres like jazz and electronic music. In the main backstage area, they encountered the comedy duo who had performed earlier. The comedians were still riding the high of their successful performance, and their natural humor continued even in casual conversation. They made some gentle jokes about royal protocol, which William enjoyed. The couple's ability to laugh at themselves had always been one of their most endearing qualities. Asked the comedians about their creative process and how they developed their routines. They explained that they spent months refining each joke and physical gag, testing material at smaller venues before bringing it to prestigious stages like the Royal Variety performance. This dedication to their craft impressed both William and, who appreciated the hard work that went into making entertainment look effortless. The magic act was setting up for their second performance in a large backstage area filled with props and equipment. William was particularly curious about the technical aspects of the illusions, though the magicians could only reveal so much without spoiling the magic for future audiences. They did show him some of the simpler tricks and explained the years of practice required to make complex illusions appear seamless. Was more interested in the theatrical elements of the magic show, the storytelling, costumes, and dramatic presentation. The lead magician's assistant explained how each illusion was designed to take the audience on an emotional journey, not just to amaze them with technical skill. This combination of artistry and craftsmanship appealed to appreciation for creative expression. They spent considerable time with the Welsh Children's Choir, who were excited almost to the point of speechlessness at meeting their Princess of Wales. Knelt down to speak with several of the younger children, asking them about their favorite songs and whether they enjoyed singing together. Her genuine interest in their experiences helped them overcome their initial nervousness. One little girl, probably about 8 years old, shyly asked if she liked to sing. Admitted that she enjoyed singing, but wasn't nearly as talented as the choir members. She encouraged the children to keep pursuing their musical interests, telling them that the joy they brought to audiences was a wonderful gift to share with the world. William talked with the choir director about the challenges of working with young performers and the importance of music education in schools. The director explained that many of these children came from areas where funding for arts programs had been reduced, making opportunities like this choir even more valuable for their development. The conversation with the choir director led to a broader discussion about arts education policy, something both William and felt strongly about. They had seen firsthand how participation in music, drama, and visual arts helped young people develop confidence, creativity, and important life skills. William mentioned that this was an area where their charitable foundation might be able to make a meaningful impact. Backstage, they also met with some of the technical crew members who made the show possible, showed particular interest in talking with the lighting designer, who explained how different colored lights and effects helped create the mood for each performance. William spent time with the sound engineers, learning about the complex equipment required to ensure that every seat in the theater received perfect audio quality. These conversations with behind-the-scenes workers reflected the couple's appreciation for all the different roles that contributed to successful events. They understood that, while the performers received most of the attention, the technical crew members were equally essential to creating magical evenings like this one. During their backstage tour, they encountered several performers who were making their Royal Variety debut. A young singer-songwriter from Liverpool was particularly nervous about her upcoming performance and spent extra time reassuring her. She shared her own experiences with stage fright and public speaking anxiety, offering practical advice about breathing techniques and focusing on the message rather than the audience size. The Indian dance troupe was preparing for their second performance, and the dressing room was filled with the aroma of traditional makeup and the sound of ankle bells being adjusted. Was invited to try on some of the jewelry worn by the dancers, and she marveled at the weight and intricacy of the pieces. The dancers explained that some of the jewelry had been in their families for generations, passed down from teacher to student as sacred objects. William learned about the spiritual aspects of traditional Indian dance, discovering that many of the movements and gestures had religious significance. The lead dancer demonstrated some of the hand positions and their meanings, explaining how dance had historically been used as a form of prayer and storytelling in Indian culture. One of the most touching encounters was with an elderly performer who had been attending Royal Variety performances for over 50 years, both as a performer and as an audience member. He shared stories about performing for Queen Elizabeth in the 1970s and how the event had evolved over the decades while maintaining its essential character as a celebration of entertainment and charity. This veteran performer offered some perspective on how William's approach to royal duties compared to previous generations. He praised their accessibility and genuine interest in learning about different art forms, noting that their enthusiasm seemed to energize both performers and audiences. As they prepared to return to their seats for the second half of the show, both William and reflected on how much they had enjoyed these personal interactions. Meeting the artists behind the performances always made the entertainment more meaningful for them. They had gained new appreciation for the diverse talents represented in the show and the hard work that brought these performers to this prestigious stage. The second half of the Royal Variety performance opened with a spectacular musical number featuring the entire cast of a popular West End musical. William and returned to their seats, just as the curtains opened to reveal an elaborate set and dozens of performers in brilliant costumes. The energy in the theater was electric, and both of them could feel the excitement of the audience around them. Leaned forward in her seat as the musical number unfolded, clearly captivated by the professional choreography and powerful vocals. She had always enjoyed musical theater, and seeing a full production number on the Royal Variety stage was a special treat. William watched her enjoyment with obvious pleasure, appreciating how these cultural events brought out her most relaxed and joyful side. The musical performers told a story through song and dance that celebrated British creativity and talent. Found herself humming along with some of the melodies, recognizing songs that had become popular beyond the theater world. The costumes were particularly stunning, with intricate beadwork and flowing fabrics that caught the stage lights beautifully. Between acts, William noticed a small commotion in the audience as people recognized various celebrities who were attending the performance. They exchanged amused glances, remembering their own early experiences with the attention that came with public appearances. Now, after years of royal life, they had learned to appreciate these events for the entertainment value rather than feeling overwhelmed by the surrounding publicity. A renowned British singer took the stage next, performing a medley of songs that had defined different decades of popular music. Was particularly moved by a ballad about family and relationships, the lyrics resonating with her own experiences as a wife and mother. She unconsciously reached for William's hand during the most emotional part of the song. William squeezed her hand gently, understanding her emotional response to the music. They had learned to communicate with each other through small gestures like this during public events, supporting each other while maintaining the composure expected of their royal roles. These moments of connection made even the most formal occasions feel intimate and personal. The young violinist they had met backstage finally took the stage for her performance, held her breath as the teenager began to play, hoping that nerves wouldn't affect her beautiful technique. But from the first notes, it was clear that the young musician was in complete control of her performance. Her interpretation of the classical piece was both technically perfect and deeply emotional. As the violin solo reached its crescendo, felt tears forming in her eyes. She was moved not just by the beautiful music, but by thinking about the young performer's dedication and her family's sacrifices to nurture this extraordinary talent. William noticed her emotional response and felt his own appreciation for the power of artistic expression to touch people's hearts. The audience's standing ovation for the young violinist lasted several minutes, with many people clearly as moved as had been. Both William and stood immediately and applauded enthusiastically, wanting the young performer to know how much her music had affected them. They could see her relief and joy as she took her bows, the nervous energy from earlier completely replaced by deserved confidence. Following the violin performance, the Indian dance troupe returned to the stage with a different piece that showcased the athletic and dramatic aspects of their art form. The dancers moved with incredible precision and power, their colorful costumes creating beautiful patterns as they spun and leaped across the stage. Was particularly impressed by the female dancers' ability to maintain perfect balance while wearing elaborate headdresses. William found himself thinking about the conversations they had had backstage about cultural preservation and international exchange. Seeing these traditional art forms presented to a British audience in such a prestigious setting seemed to embody the kind of cultural diplomacy that he and valued in their royal work. The comedy duo returned for a second set that was even funnier than their first performance. They had clearly gained confidence from their earlier success and were willing to take more risks with their material. Found herself laughing so hard at one point that she had to cover her mouth with her hand, a gesture that photographers in the audience captured and that would appear in newspapers the next day. William particularly enjoyed the physical comedy aspects of the duo's performance. Their timing was perfect, and they had developed a chemistry that made even their simplest jokes seem hilarious. The fact that they could make an audience of sophisticated Londoners laugh so genuinely was a testament to their skill as entertainers. A surprise guest appeared near the end of the show, a famous British actor who had recently won international awards for his work in both theater and film. He performed a dramatic monologue from a classic British play, bringing the theater to complete silence with his powerful delivery. Was struck by how one person with minimal staging could command the attention of an entire audience through pure talent and charisma. The actor's performance reminded both William and of the rich tradition of British theater and the importance of supporting dramatic arts education. They had both participated in school plays when they were younger, and they understood how theater training helped develop confidence and communication skills that proved valuable throughout life. As the show moved toward its finale, all of the evening's performers began gathering on stage for a grand finale number. The Welsh Children's Choir returned, now joined by the other musical acts, creating a powerful chorus that filled the theater with beautiful harmonies. Felt a surge of pride seeing the young Welsh singers performing confidently alongside professional entertainers from around the world. The finale featured a song that celebrated diversity, creativity, and the power of the arts to bring people together. As different performers took turns singing verses in their native languages or artistic styles, the message became clear that entertainment could bridge cultural differences and create shared experiences of joy and wonder. William and exchanged meaningful looks as they watched the finale unfold. This kind of celebration of international talent and cultural exchange reflected their own vision for how royal events could promote understanding and cooperation between different communities and countries. The final moments of the show featured all the performers on stage together, with streamers and confetti falling from the ceiling and the audience on their feet in appreciation. Applauded enthusiastically, her face glowing with genuine happiness and satisfaction. She had clearly enjoyed every moment of the evening, from the red carpet arrival through the intimate backstage meetings to this spectacular conclusion. As the curtain fell and the audience began to move toward the exits, William and remained in their seats for a few extra moments, savoring the end of such a wonderful evening. They would be expected to attend a small reception afterward, meeting with major sponsors and organizers, but for now, they just wanted to appreciate what they had experienced together. Their evening at the Royal Variety Performance had been everything they had hoped for: entertaining, meaningful, and filled with opportunities to connect with talented people from many different backgrounds. As they finally stood to leave their seats, both of them were already looking forward to next year's show and the new discoveries and surprises it would bring. The walk from their seats to the reception area was slower than their earlier red carpet entrance, as they stopped to thank theater staff and chat with audience members who approached them. Genuine warmth and William's easy conversation style made these impromptu interactions feel natural and enjoyable rather than obligatory. As they entered the reception, they were greeted by organizers who were thrilled with the evening's success. The performers they met looked tired but happy, still glowing from their successful appearances on one of Britain's most prestigious entertainment stages. William spent the reception moving from group to group, ensuring that they had a chance to personally thank everyone who had contributed to making the evening so special. The night concluded with both of them feeling grateful for the opportunity to support the arts while enjoying world-class entertainment. Their genuine appreciation for talent and creativity had been evident throughout the evening, both to the performers they met and to the thousands of people who watched their red carpet arrival and theater attendance. They had successfully balanced their royal duties with their personal enjoyment, creating an experience that was meaningful for everyone involved.